Welcome back. Right now, President Trump is holding an event at the White House highlighting what he calls his one big, beautiful bill, which the White House insists will be on the president's desk by July 4th. But today, Republicans trying to meet that deadline hit another hurdle when the Senate Parliamentarian determined a key Medicaid provision cannot be included in the bill. Senate Republicans were hoping to use the proposed cuts to Medicaid to offset the cost of the bill's tax cuts. Several Senate Republicans expressed frustration that this could delay a vote on the bill, though Senate Majority Leader Thune said he has contingency plans.
I want an explanation by her on where this doesn't fit in the bird rule, because it's not okay just to make it your opinion. You're going to have to tell me line by line where this doesn't fit in the bird rule.
So I think it's pretty frustrating. But, you know, what we've got to do is work through this process and come up with something that, fulfills the Trump agenda, also has fiscal sanity.
Everything is challenging, but they're all speed bumps, and we have contingency plans, Plan B and Plan C.
Procedural vote still tomorrow?
We'll continue to litigate it.
And joining me now is NBC's Zanona on Capitol Hill. So thanks for being here. So Medicaid has always been a major sticking point when you have conversations about this bill. What did the parliamentarian take issue with specifically with that? And what's the plan B or C or D, as the Senate Majority Leader was saying?
Yeah, so there were actually a number of Medicaid cuts that the parliamentarian determined do not comply with Senate rules for this very arcane, tricky process called reconciliation that they're trying to use in the Senate in order to bypass the need to use Democratic votes. That's why this all matters. That's why they even have to go to the parliamentarian. And the chief one I want to flag for you that she ruled was out of order is something called the provider tax, or their provider fee. That is something that states rely on to fund their Medicaid program, something that senators have warned would have a really big impact on rural hospitals, but that it also would raise a ton of money. So it helped them pay for the big price tag of this bill. So on the one hand, we're hearing some Republicans are actually relieved that this is being struck out of the bill. But on the other hand, this is only going to enrage conservatives even further, and they're going to have to potentially come up with other ways to pay for the bill. So what comes next? Well, they have a few options here. One, which is what's happening right now, they're going to try to rework the language in a way that makes it does comply with Senate rules. Again, this is all sort of tricky and wonky, but there's potentially a way where they could still get some of these provisions in. The second option is they just ignore the Senate parliamentarian and overrule them. That is something that is seen as a very extreme option, one that the Senate leader, John Thune, is not willing to go down yet. And then finally, of course, they could just opt to not include these provisions, roll the dice, and hope that members vote for the bill anyway.
So they have all these different options, including, as you said, the extreme option of overruling the parliamentarian. That being said, the president has been very clear. He's circled July 4th as the deadline for when he wants to see this bill on his desk. So what's the chances of Republicans actually making that deadline? And what are you hearing on when the Senate could actually begin voting on this bill?
So it's still possible they could pass it by July 4th. I think that is becoming increasingly more difficult. If they do pass it by then, that means they've worked through the weekend, canceled a lot of vacations, same for us reporters over here, in order to get that done. And because of what I mentioned earlier about the fact that they need to rework some of that language, that has now delayed the entire process. Initially, the hope, at least, was that the Senate was going to be able to start voting tomorrow. That would be Friday. They have to go through this really long process called a vote-a-rama, in which they can offer an unlimited number of amendments. So it's going to take time to get through the Senate. And then, of course, it still has to go to the House. And it's just unclear whether they're going to be willing to swallow some of these changes. So little TBD on when this is going to get passed. But a reminder, that July 4th deadline is a self-imposed deadline. The real deadline isn't until sometime in August, because that's when the debt limit cliff approaches. And this bill, among the many things it would do, would also raise the debt ceiling. So they actually do have a little bit of time. But Trump wants that big symbolic victory of being able to sign this by July 4th.
Yeah, the president definitely wants to have a party on July 4th and this bill signing to be the center of it. So let's say, hypothetically, you cancel your vacation. Senator Thune cancels his vacation. This actual big mega bill passes the Senate. With all of that happening, it still, as you said, needs to go back to the House. So what's the mood in the House? I know you said it's sort of TBD there, but also, if there are potential holdouts, who are they and what really are they looking for?
So there's a mix of members that we're watching right now. We're watching those conservative hawks. I caught up with Chip Roy from Texas earlier today. He said at this point he's no way going to vote for the Senate product if it advances as is, because he has an issue with that price tag, with the fact that it adds to the deficit. I should note, though, that he has folded before, and he said he was going to be no on something and then ultimately voted yes. But he voted yes in those cases when he got something in return. And in this case, there's no indication that the House actually wants to go back and forth. They're trying to sort of of pre-work out some of these issues before it gets to the House. The other group we're watching, Anish, those high state blue tax Republicans who are pushing to raise the deduction on the state and local tax. That is a huge issue for them. That is something that they fought really hard for in the House. But in the Senate, there are no Republicans who care about this issue because there are no Republicans in blue states in the Senate. And so they tried to water that provision down. We've heard that they've been kind of going back and forth, trading some new offers, going back and forth. At that point, though, it's just unclear where it's going to land.
Yeah, well, there are definitely a lot of questions. I know you're going to be on top of all of it, so thank you so much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.